It was an interesting thing I read when I was looking at this with Mrs. Hickey. We often talk about stones, and a lot of stone buildings don't exist where they existed originally, because the stones were utilised again to build something else. Whereas if you go before the stones and things were built from wood, you could still have the wood. So you could end up having something from the 2nd or 3rd century, but you mightn't have something from the 8th century, because the stones were recycled maybe once or twice or 3 times. I think that's what County Council had in mind in the 60s. Drogheda Corporation had the same idea with the walls in Drogheda.
Yeah. We won't say anything about these things.
No.
Please God, they happen. You know, well, I think it's great. Some of the plans at the moment, and you wonder. You just wonder. Anybody else? Yes, Bob.
Yeah, you mentioned a gentleman named Noy.
Yeah, Protestant man, yeah.
Around the end of the 1600s?
1764.
1764.
1764. Yeah.
But there's,
he was the one who donated the second Mudwall Chapel.
Yeah. The name just comes to me.
Yeah.
There's a monument to the memory of a Noy.
Right.
In the Church of Ireland here.
Okay.
Beside us. And I think it's a little bit earlier. It's 1712. I think it's.
Well, he could still have been around, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or it could have been the relation.
Probably the same family.
Yeah.
It's an unusual name.
It's a very unusual name.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was more generous than his religious compatriot, Mr. Recklin, who didn't believe in popish places at all after Lady Dowdall. She was the one that started it from Athlumney Castle.
Yeah.
After the St. Stephen's Church had ceased.
Did I just ask another question? You talked about soup trains.
Yes.
The far side of the road.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any knowledge of soup trains or passageways under the present rugby pitch in Ballyresk?
No. Apart from when I was attacked by you, that was the only time I went out. No, I don't, no. But I mean, I knew it means a cave, so.
Yeah, there was going back to the early 60s when that pitch was being developed.
Yeah.
They certainly came across passage.
Yeah, I think souterrains are relatively common, you know.
Yeah.
That we don't come across them, maybe. You come across them by accident.
But you mentioned that there might be a link between
Well,
Johnstown and...
it was my own family, particularly my Aunt Catty, who always said that the monks could go from the Black Church down to Johnstown, down to Kilcarn, and then head across to Bective. But they would have had to go under the Boyne there, you know. So, but it certainly, I have it on record. Martin's father was recorded in 1960, was it? 61?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
The souterrain.
Yeah, the souterrain in Crowboy, and he also mentioned caves in the Raheen. And the Raheen is there, the Rath is there, you know. I think when you come across one piece of civilization, you'll always come across another civilization somewhere near, or in this case under it. So I think souterrains are fairly common.
Yeah. Predominantly food storage.
Yes.
And it's
And escape.
Yeah. Tom Clinton will argue a lot, and it's a fantastic book called Souterrain Ireland.
Right.
And you know, he sort of maybe takes a little bit of the myth out of it.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Tom or Sean? Sorry. James.
Well, really, I enjoyed your speech.
Thank you.
It was wonderful. And I have two things, not to ask, but to inform everybody. That is, if they don't know it already. There was a man by the name of Michael O'Connor that lived very near Walterstown Show. And Michael was, well, should we say, a strange man.
He was very odd.
I mean, a man very like you. Good. Anyway, Michael, I got to know Michael, and he knew a good bit about art, and being an artist myself, I used to ask Michael and invite him to the house and one thing and another, and he was very, very interesting. But, unfortunately, he got too fond of his son. So, anyway, Michael, got it into his head that nearly every painting was by the famous Roderick O'Connor. Now, anyone that doesn't know about Roderick O'Connor, he was one of the last High Kings of Ireland, and he had an estate in Roscommon, and he sold the estate, and I believe he looked after all the employees very well. So anyway, he went off to France. Now, here is the crux of the matter, one of the cruxes. When he went to France, Van Gogh and Gauguin and all these boys used to call into him. Short of money, the cost of everything. And he used to give them money. And I think, I could be wrong, this is only my opinion, that they were influenced by him. But France, being a bigger population than Ireland, voted for him, and the world thinks that they were better than it. But I think Roderick was better. But that's getting away from this track I was on. About Michael. Michael believes every painting that he looked at was a Roderick O'Connor. And Michael used to say it to me, and I'd look at Michael and I'd say to myself, sure, he's nothing else to live for. And I went along with him.
Right.
And I used to say, oh yeah, you're right there. But at the same time, I didn't believe, I knew by looking at him that I wasn't a Roderick O'Connor. In my humble opinion, and it proved to be very humble. So the bird Michael discovered a Roderick O'Connor.
Really?
And recently it was sold. Now, I don't know how much it was sold. But getting back to the trains,
Yes.
there was at a lonely bridge, the railroad bridge at the back of St. Michael's,
Yeah.
there was a cave discovered there.
Right.
And in it there was a lot of parts for horses and saddles, and they were given to the museum in Dublin. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
James, just read between the lines there. You were saying that he thought every painting was a Roderick O'Connor. That when he was looking at yours, he was saying, is that what, I know where you're going on that, you know, let's be honest, and he was saying, very true.
Well, thanks for the compliment. I don't think I'd be that famous.
This is just a bit of information. I was at an auction about 20 years ago on Ushers, and there was a cardboard box of paper sold. It was a book auction, and there was just a cardboard box sitting on the table, and it was full of rubbish bits of paper. Anyway, the box sold for £180 at the time, and the man from Cannon Row, you know the bookman, William, he bought the box. And I was amazed at the time that you would buy a box of rubbish for £180. But everything in the box was belonging to this woman, and it was all about Kilcarn.
Really?
But I have no idea what happened after that, because when he died, his stuff went into auction again, so I don't know. It was just a cardboard box of papers, and everything was about Kilcarn. So,
Martin there showed me papers 2 days ago. I couldn't believe it. The original bill of fare for the church and the school in Johnstown. And perfect, in beautiful handwriting. Where do you think you came across them?
It would have been Denver Casey's time.
Yeah.
On the provide.
Oh, they ended up in that boy then.
Yeah.
It's great to have original. It's great to have the first source.
That's out there, you know. It's perfect. Anybody else? We just have one more maybe. Okay. Vincent. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
So what you're saying about Lady Dowd's church in Wales.
Yeah.
Well, according to my aunt, it was somewhere on the boundary between Baileystown and and Alexander.
That's why I said Bayless or Alexander.
I thought it was spelled B-A-L-I-S,
Yeah.
B-E-L-I-S. But then it was, my aunt used to go over there, and it was a triangular field, and it was right in the middle of St. Martha's and Sion that time.
Right.
But it's built on there, but
Yes.
that's where the supposed to be the church was.
Yeah, well,
It was in a little church.
the source said Bayless or Alexander, so as you said, it probably was on the boundary of the town.
It was right on the ground.
So yeah, it
It
could
was
be,
a triangle field.
could be on a river too, you know, on a
No,
stream.
there was no river there, but when they were developing it, it was a massive amount of stone on the ground.
Massive amount
It
of.
was stone,
All right.
rubble and everything,
Yeah.
the walls and everything around. That's where I think it was anyway. It's in the middle of a housing scheme now. There's a green, it's still where I think it is. And
Right.
Not a question, Pastor, but an observation. I was fascinated by the talk, Christopher,
Thank you.
and I'm so glad that you accepted the invitation to come and
Didn't have any choice, Councillor.
But what fascinates me, I don't know if it's my age, but I picked up more tonight than the first time I heard it, you know.
Thank you.
And if anybody wants to pick up more and hear it again, Brian is putting it up on Twitter, so you'll be able to see it again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, just before we go, thanks again to Christopher, and thanks to Kenneth for, I won't say inviting him, I'd say more persuading him, or you know what I mean.
But he didn't do what Francis Dean did. He didn't tell me I was already on the programme. And then Francis is a politician. That's how you get things done, isn't it, Francis? You have to get the ivy off the church.
Christopher, can I just ask
Yeah.
a question? Just in relation to the records
Yeah,
of people that were buried.
yeah.
Uh,
Michael O'Brien and who else did I say?
like we
Johnstown.
say, the 12th, the 13th and the 14th century. Like when people were buried those times.
No, they're not recorded.
They're not
No, the 119 would be anything that you can read on the stones. Now, anybody who knows the graveyard will know that there's a little bit of distinction between one half and the other half.
Yeah.
When you go to the left, you're old, and if you go to the right, you're new.
Yeah.
The churchyard was smaller. It was about the same distance either side of the church.
Yeah.
And then Carolyn gave the extra land then for the newer graves. But there was a lot of small graves when Father O'Connor did the initial tidy up, and there was a certain amount of small crosses, and they may have had names on them, but they were sort of gone at this stage, and they were certainly gone after they renovated the graveyard. There's no doubt about that. The older stones on the left-hand side, and as I said, the oldest stone that you can read is 1709, but there are older stones there, you know.
Well, in the Follestown graveyard,
Yeah,
there's a stone there, 1736,
right,
which is very unusual.
yeah,
You know, and they were, see, the thing about going back, years back, the headstones were for wealthy people.
yes,
And
I didn't want to say that.
the people that were poor,
Yeah,
they just got,
they got the wooden crosses. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, so class distinction exists in death as well as life.
Thanks, Christopher, and I
No.
want to thank you. I tell you, I went
You
into
started
Heritage, Heritage Week. I said it'd be nice to promote St Stephen's Church, and
Yeah,
I went into Loretta Guinan and we discussed it with the committee here. And I have to compliment you on that night, that evening of the 15th of August. The amount of people I heard afterwards, oh, we would have been there, you know. It was a fantastic presentation, and we were lucky with the weather too.
well, the weather was lovely.
Yeah.
The sun was shining.
Well, it does make a difference when you're doing it on site, you know, you're looking around,
Yeah, yeah.
and it is a wonderful place, you know.
It is, yeah. And it's great, like even the history there, the way you gave the presentation there tonight in detail, you know, from start to finish.
Well, I was used to going to court, you have to get everything
Oh,
right.
you do have to. Thanks, Chris.
Not at all, Francis. There's one interesting grave in the thing. There's a rough rider. He worked for he was employed with the US Army as a horseman. They were called Rough Riders. I don't know if they were scouts or something like that. I don't know what connection he had with Kilcarn, but there's a small, and it's almost like some of the Commonwealth graves. It's that shape of a grave. No, it's not a Commonwealth grave, but it's there.
And it's amazing, I suppose, one never knows in Ballymacarvey,
Yeah.
there's a small, and it's a grave of a man who was on the Ward Union,
Right.
and he died in the field, fell off the horse.
Right.
They actually buried him in Ballymacarvey.
Right.
It's strange for the thing. Okay, listen, we won't delay anybody anymore. Thank you again. Francis, thanks very much.
Thank you,
Wish you the very best of luck in May. It's great to
Yeah.
have local representation, and it's only when we don't have it that we end up, you wondering why. And Francis, thank you, and thank you for your contribution to society. It's very much appreciated. Tonight we dedicate this talk, if you don't mind, to Eamon Riley, Septus Dungan's brother, to your sister.
Thank you very much.
Our respects. And to our great friend, Donny, who we lost a number of weeks ago, a committee member and society member, and a guy who used to give us great laughs over the years. So wherever they are tonight, we hope they enjoyed this talk as well.
Thank you very much. And Carol was buried in Kilcarn.
Brilliant. May she rest in peace. Tonight, I suppose, is the start, first real talk of our year. And as we go forward, we have a full packed, intensive year coming up, and we invite you to join. It's a £5 for every talk, so after the fourth talk, you know, you're in profit. So you might as well sign up, and Canis is only too welcome to sign you up. And we have a very, very interesting year to come. And it's a family membership at €25, don't forget that as well. So, you know, you're really getting good value. Our next outing is on the 21st of March, and we have a very interesting, I think we're breaking the mould here in Navan. We're giving alternative insights into history, and we found this with Ollie McBride last year, and he's coming back again this year, and his theory, his hypothesis on the Round Towers. And Donald McDowan also has a new hypothesis